different people who've been reporting this, so I imagine there is some substance in that. Your gut reaction, please.
He had to go because, I mean, the signings, it's been woeful as we're not allowed to bring in, But then again, we've got problems in the way that his payoff, because he was only signed a new contract, didn't he, in April?
Yeah.
4-year deal. So he's
$2
going
million
to
a
leave
year.
with another wedge. So it's a bit of both bittersweet, and he had to go. He had to. But he's got a nice payout, hasn't he, for what, again, for failure.
Yeah, I think he's earning £2 million a year. So obviously, to lose his job if we're sacking him, then that's probably going to cost us at least half of his salary on the contract.
$3 million for abject failure.
I don't disagree with you. I've been looking on the internet now at what people's reactions been. And Sean Lunt, he said, Marcel Brands is a scapegoat. You won't convince me otherwise. At no point did Everton follow the vision he outlined when he arrived, and by all accounts, they've gone around and blocked him on most occasions. What do you make of that?
Sorry, can you repeat it? I just a bit of a sound quality issue.
Marcel Brands is a scapegoat. You won't convince me otherwise. At no point did Everton follow his vision that he outlined when he arrived, and they went to block him on most occasions.
Yeah, okay, so I get he's a scapegoat again. Yeah, probably is partly, but he is partly to blame for this. And I agree that he hasn't been back, but it's the FF. It's Steve. We still got the hangover from Steve Walsh and Sam Allen. The legacy of spending big, but yeah, it's a tough one. I kind of scapegoat. I don't think so, but I don't think he can be the full blame to be put on Brands. But he does lie partly to. I mean, as I say, we don't know how Trudy's done free streamers were, beginning of the season, and if he was, we were going to get him on loan. Well, it's never going to happen, and I don't get that. We must have known that we didn't have a pot to piss, and the FFP's not just suddenly come along, has it? So I get it, and I think the final straw was probably at the derby when you did have that argument with the supporter. I mean, what do you think he meant by it? What do you think he meant by he goes, it's not just the players? Is that the board? Is that?
I mean, I personally don't think that Marcel Brands has had the level of control that people will think he has. And I think that's why he was trying to deflect perhaps away from himself. I mean, his English is good enough for us to interpret that as, is it just the players, or is it the manager, or is it other people involved?
Well, this is what I'm saying. So is he blaming the fans? Is he blaming the board? Is he blaming Benitez? Who is he blaming by saying it's not just the fans? That's what I still can't fathom. He must have been blaming someone, and then it's all gone to hell now. I mean, as I say, it was meant to be a board meeting, wasn't it, on Friday? So I don't know what happened to that. But I mean, is it actually confirmed he's left, or?
If he had half a backbone, then he would want to leave himself, because realistically, he's not getting things done. I want to go to some more things that I've seen, and first I'm going to bring in the comments. I've got Jeff Beresford, sorry, mate, who's saying whoop. Seems very happy. Dave Weston says, ultimately, he's responsible for the shite that takes the field every week. Yes, I mean, the director of football is the label, and that really means that he should be overseeing all football matters. Now, that's everything from the academy, the philosophy of the academy and the formation and everything that he wants the academy to do. Recruitment in terms of hiring the scouts, hiring people involved in recruitment, overseeing first team philosophy, first team recruitment. I mean, he's pretty much everything involved in the footballing side of it. And you can't argue against the fact that in the 3 years that Marcel Brands has been here, we finished in the bottom half, I think, twice. I mean, obviously, it wasn't any better than, any worse, I should say, before him. The fact that Martinez finished in the bottom half twice. But the difference was that we got to 2 semi-finals in his final season at Everton. So, you know, it's infuriating. And I think we have to judge this on the context, because we have to understand, well, all of these failures, yeah, poor recruitment, no footballing philosophy, issues with managers, etc., etc. Has he had the full control? If he had the full control, then fair enough. He's not done his job properly. He's got to be shown the door. But if he hasn't had that level of control and input, then how can you sack him, and how can you say that, you know, he's responsible for this mess if he hasn't been allowed to do this job? Tommy George, hi Tom. He says he had to go when confronted by the fan in the stand. His only comeback was that, is it just the players? He looked pissed off and fed up. As I say, we don't know what's going on. I highly doubt he wanted signings like Solomon Rondon and Rafa Benitez to be appointed as Everton manager. I highly doubt it.
What do you think now? Why the situation is with director of football? Do we get another one? Do we scrap it and look for something different?
We have to get a director of football, but we have to bring someone in who's going to be allowed to actually oversee football matters. Now, I think you could give me the job, because I know I'm not applying for the job, but I know what Everton demands, and I know what Everton fans want. They want fast, high tempo, aggressive football, direct style, lots of crossing, flair players, but not show ponies, and no playing out from the back really, and passion and commitment for the club.
Yeah, but
And I think
what you're saying that's to do with tactics of a manager, not of a
Mabsy, that's the director of football's got to set a footballing philosophy. That's Everton's footballing DNA.
You see, I envisage the director of football and role is basically the manager comes up to him and says, right, I want this, I want him, right? And the director of football goes out and buys him for the manager.
I actually think you'll find it's more the other way around, and it's Everton. You know, the director of football goes, I have these players, I can get him, and him. Do you want him, or him?
Yeah, but this is the point. This isn't
the
manager
manager
to be the director of football. It should be a manager's job to do that.
The manager
To play the
goes, I
manager's
need a right
styles,
winger.
get the manager's players in. Now, again, there's rumours which I hope aren't fucking true. I've heard the M word being fucking bashed around today by certain people. Don't want that.
Mourinho.
Yeah.
I think it's a case of the player, the manager goes, I need a right winger of this style, this profile, because we're not crossing the ball well, or, you know, different scenario. And the director of football will say, yeah. And he'll go to his scouts. Who have we got lined up? Who's good? You do a scouting and go and get him, and they work together as a unit. But I don't see the cohesion and the chemistry between any of the managers and the director of football. All I see is managers coming in and buying the players that they want. Let's be honest. James was Ancelotti. Alan was Ancelotti. Every manager comes in and picks a few of their past favourites. Doesn't seem to work, really. There's no clear structure and plan in place. And I think you've got to, as I say, if he has had the control that, you know, he should have had, then he's been an absolute failure. But a lot of people have got on Twitter, I'm just looking at, people are saying this leaves Unsworth and Benitez with full reign. Not good.
You know what, though? I'm in the position of, well, we need to have known who's signing with who's. You know what I mean? So to say that he's been made a scapegoat, well, the board should come out and say, well, you know, him with this signing, him and him were Ancelotti's, him and then were Rafa's. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what's going to happen. The minute he leaves, he'll do an interview in a Dutch newspaper and say that he wasn't allowed to.
You say that, okay, so then Ancelotti, so Dominic King last season, Josh King last season, right? That clear was a Marcel Brands buy. 100% Marcel Brands, because Ancelotti didn't play him.
I see that as more like of a Bill Kenwright buy.
Well, it wasn't. But what I'm trying to say is, well, So, well, it was an Ancelotti. It must have been a Marcel Brands by I reckon. I don't think Cameron has that say.
Remember when we all thought Marcel Brands was some sort of football oracle because he bought some no marks for PSG? Another comment: it stinks of higher ups trying to relieve some pressure on them by getting Brands out the door. If you don't replace him with a suitable
it does
candidate,
give them time, and that's they're not stupid. He's been scapegoated. He has.
I feel
Yeah,
sorry for
right
Marcel Brands having to work with others on the board. There's no way someone of his caliber wouldn't do well for us if he wasn't given more control. I mean, there's a lot of mixed comments really on social media, and I'm going to come to now our own comments. Sean says, if it's true Brands has left, will this give Rafa the power in the transfer market to buy the players he wants? See, I don't know whether I trust Rafa Benitez.
I wouldn't trust Rafa with full control. I wouldn't trust him. Someone needs to be accountable that A is going to be for the long term, and B, has got the best interest of the club at heart.
Yeah. Thanks for the comment, Sean. Will says, is it true? We need to start change somewhere. Yeah, but we both have a feeling that he's being scapegoated here and that there are more significant issues. I mean, you can't sack yourself. I mean, it's like I'm a musician. If I go and do a bad gig, I can't sack myself.
I mean, do you think these rumours that the club is up for sale?
I don't know, Mabs.
I could half believe it because Mashiri's only flown in because there's a crisis. He's communicating through TalkSport. I wouldn't be surprised if we were up for sale. $500 million, I think I had meted about as well by Richard Keys. I think Richard Keys said $500 million.
Interesting.
Just don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we were up for sale. As I do think that it's either Yusunov has to come or he just goes because he can't. There's no halfway house at the moment, is there really?
I think it wasn't behind the appointment of Benitez. He came out with the players' comment. Yeah, I don't think he wanted Benitez. I think he liked Silva. He pined for Silva, didn't he? He didn't want to sack him. David, hi David. He wants rid of the role of director of football. Do we give Rafa sole charge? His past record isn't brilliant, but he has an identity. I don't know. He'll just end up spending it on Newcastle, Sean staff and all of that lot.
Like, extends Rondon contracts like for another 5 million years. Yeah.
Dave doesn't want Mourinho. He's a mercenary. I think Mourinho is just
I don't want
another
Mourinho.
one.
That... Roma anyway, so hopefully we won't get him. Hopefully they'll see sense.
Another one, really, the Mourinho one. I think that's very much. It's just shows how out of touch Farhad Bashiri is in terms of the footballing side of it. Looking at managers who are just well past their best, rather than managers who are on their way up and who have got a point to prove and want to achieve something in the game and have that hunger.
Yeah.
The owners never admit they're wrong.
Well, no, they won't. Yeah, I agree on that. 100%. Of course they won't. They're all stubborn, and that's a problem. And football, that's about football in general. Everyone's stubborn and won't change ways, and I don't know many managers that do change, and you know what I mean? The philosophies, they don't, it's the way they like to play. I think football's just a very stubborn business. There's no adaptation. I don't think there's much adaptation in or change in football. Really.
As I say, you can't sack yourself, really. Mashiri can't sack himself.
He can sell the club, though. What like Mike Ashley's done, he can do that.
But he's not like Mike Ashley. I mean, this guy's a guy who's, he's building us a new stadium on the docks like no one else could have done.
No, but he could have. At the end of the day, he's not actually building it himself, is he? He's not funding it through private investors and they bank through banks. So anyone can do that, and he only can do that because, interestingly enough, So apparently there's been a name change at the management company of the stadium to like Everton Developments Limited or something. Don't know. I think from Bramley Moor Docks or something to, I think they changed the name. So I don't know what's going on there.
Separating the two things.
Yeah. So as I say, it's not, as I say, likely that another person can come along and hopefully, but then you start selling your soul and see how long it took Newcastle to get new owners, and they don't have a stadium issue. Because I mean, let's face it, we still do have a stadium issue because we're still building it, so that's still an issue. You know what I mean?
Terry says, "Ken, right next, please." Hi, Terry. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button for me on YouTube. What do you think of Terry's comment, Mabs?
What?
Ken, right next, he says.
Yeah, unpopular. I'll probably get abused for this, but I feel that it's just time to go. Absolutely, 110%. I don't think, however, he has saved us in the early 2000s. The Rooney thing, yeah, he came in and saved us, steadied the ship, but now I do think he's holding us back, and people won't agree with me on that. But football's about opinions, but I do think it does need to go. Yeah, absolutely. He is holding his club back with his, as I say, we've become a retirement home for players. Ex-players. I mean, that cokehead buddy, what's his name, Baxter. He's come back to the club now. I know you'll tell me that story, right? But I don't believe it personally. Just don't believe it was spiked or whatever. The second time around, once a cheat, always a cheat, in my opinion. And if he was, he's very fucking naive. So again, no, I just feel that you need to ship out a load of backroom staff as well that just hold on to the coattails and one last paycheck. I think there's rumours that Hazard's 20 million or something for Hazard. Again, what are we doing? Why are we getting these old ancient players as one final bloody paycheck from us? No, but it's true though, isn't it? And I think it is part of Ken Wright's sentiment. And you know what? He does need to be gone. I totally agree. His time has come to move on. But he did save us, and I'll be ever grateful for that. But now's the time.
With the Marcel Brands, though, obviously the Ken Wright thing. I mean, I've obviously said that I don't think he's the main issue either, because he was there under Moyes, and we were better under Moyes when we had no money to spend, and Ken Wright had more
the way
control.
we become a retirement club, right? I think retirement fucking city with ex-players. You know what? I heard the story. You say you actually see more ex-players than you do current players at Finch Farm. That's how bad it's got.
I know. We've got to shake up, really. We've got to get rid of everyone. The thing with Brands, I mean, I've been thinking about it, is he will go on and get another job, no problem, I'm sure, because he's the one who's got the different views to everyone else. He's the one who is almost like a bit of an outsider in a way, looking in at it's his job, but he feels like he can't influence things and have that control. And I'm fully of the viewpoint that he didn't want Rafa Benitez, Solomon Rondon, or half of these appointments or players. So it makes me think that he really is the scapegoat for everything. And I'm not saying he's innocent, because at the end of the day, he should be able to veto everything. And, what is his contract? What is his role? But it does feel like a scapegoat. It feels like he could go on and do bigger and better things with his career if he's allowed.
Well, he always fucking do, to be fair, but he's made up, he's got his payday, And again, I don't know if this news is 100%. I mean, it's a massive rumour going around, but again, got to be careful because it hasn't been confirmed just yet.
I'm going to quickly go through some of the other comments before I wrap things up. I know there's about 25 people watching live. I hope you're enjoying your Sunday. If this obviously does get confirmed, I'm sure we'll do another video, and we'll get pretty much everyone who's on the channel on that video.
We're not Steve's in the States.
Apart from Stevie G.
Don't insult him.
Absolutely shocking from Mashui that he can't communicate with the fans, but sends Jim White a text backing Rafa.
Absolutely. What the fuck's that about? At the end of the day, you may as well just tune in to talk shite to get the fucking club updates, because that's what it seems like. That's what we have to now. Fucking ridiculous. Yeah, no, I agree.
Paul Joyce has just confirmed it.
Oh, right, okay, so
It's
happy days, but yeah.
confirmed Marcel Brands leaving his role as director of football.
When?
Paul Joyce, chief Northern
But
football
when, though?
correspondent for the Times and the Sunday
But
Times.
there's difference between leaving and left, isn't there?
Yeah, Charles Stevenson has also replied back to my direct message confirming that Marcel Brands has left
Right,
the
okay.
club. So I think it seems like it. All the different sources are confirming it, Mabsy.
Yeah.
So
Okay, well, Charles Stevens says it could be true then, couldn't it?
I don't know what to make of it really, because I just feel like it's. I don't trust that Everton will find a way of getting over this and finding a solution. I feel like
No,
it's
we'll just
more
sign someone
scattergun
else and they'll
approach.
be as worse than as the rest of them. Yeah, just
Mashiri isn't a football man. Weren't even at the derby. He's in America. Looks like he's making decisions. That's from James Dalton.
yeah. Yeah, well, this is it. You know, not as I said, not committed. I don't. Is he committed anymore? I mean, at least Liverpool owners don't pretend to go to the game, do they? They
Yeah, they're
just
not
don't bother
asked.
turn up. They know fucking turn up. But there we go.
Mourinho to Everton. Benitez would let Jordan go. That's from Stephen Richardson.
I think again we're just jumping out of the firing. Jumping out the firing pan into the fire with Mark Mourinho. I just think nothing's going to fucking change, and it'll be another big name flop. But he's at Roma anyway, so again, don't get that one.
Apparently, it's an immediate effect as well. He's that Brands is leaving.
Well, that's good. That's good. At least it's not like at the end of the season, is it? So basically, it's been sacked.
Rob Fulton says Brands is going is a good start. Kenwright has to be next, and we need to know who's been signing the players. Well, you think it's Marcel Brands who's been signing these players, Rob? If he's
Yeah, we
been given the
don't
boot.
know. This is what I've said before. Exactly, Ron. I agree. We don't know who's been signing these players. So to say he's been made a scapegoat, well, you don't know, right? Because we don't know who has bought what.
Bonkers, isn't it? And the irony of Ralph Rangnick going to Man United as manager when he would probably have been the first choice replacement for.
Well,
For
he was discussed before Ancelotti, wasn't he? To come to us.
Keith Van Santi, hi, good evening. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, Keith. Joshua King was a brand signing like it was bad. No,
That's
I didn't
exactly
say
it
that. I
was.
don't think he was given a fair chance, in fairness.
No, he wasn't given a fair chance, but you could tell that it was a 100% brand signing because Ancelotti didn't rate him, didn't play him, didn't give him a chance. So you could tell that wasn't Ancelotti's. It must have been 110%. He was bought without Ancelotti's knowledge by Brands.
Yeah. The reason we said that was just to show that some of the managers are that the managers having most control. But yeah, there was a few that Marcel Brands had a stamp on. I would keep the stream going a bit longer, but unfortunately, I have to go out now, guys. Unfortunately, Keith Van Santi says Brands is going to Newcastle. Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully, Steve Walsh is going with him.
This is what I'm
Mashiri
saying.
will
He
be at
gets
the
a
game
about
tomorrow
£4
night.
million
Yeah, for sure.
payoff.
Mabs, are you going tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely, I am for a change. Can't wait. Well,
Excellent.
I can, but I'll text you about that tomorrow about that. Anyway.
There's been a huge amount of criticism for Marcel Brands anyway, across the media and for the board in general across the media. And I think Dave hits the nail on the head. It took a fan having to approach Brands for Mashiri to question why we spent all that money.
I've got a friend who sits in corporate, and to be fair, they all do it all the time, but it just obviously it's not filmed. They do get some shite sitting there. Fair play.
And all over BBC Five Live and the media, they've been talking about 500 million spent only to be in a worse position. And
just before you go, right? Just before you go, what about this 27 minute thing, the walkout?
Yeah, I mean, I will go down for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I'm not leaving though, but I will go downstairs, not spend out. But I'm not gonna leave from the ground.
No, But if people are going down for a few minutes or turning their back, then I think so. But the problem for me, and I'm just going to wrap things up, unfortunately, everyone, but we'll be back soon. Is that we have had the money to spend now, rather than splashing 500 million on the shite and then reinvesting it on more shite. If we'd have bought 10, 50 million pound players in the way that your City or your Chelsea or your Liverpool have done, we'd be competing in the Champions League right now. It's the fact that from day one, we haven't had the people who are good enough in recruitment, in charge. We haven't had good enough scouts. To be honest, you don't even need good scouts to see a good player. I think everyone can see who's a top player and who hasn't.
Yeah.
We'd have been better off getting 10, 50 million pound players and some free transfers to bolster the squad and gradually progressing. But instead, we made a right mess of it. And I think from now, we have to get a director of football in who will oversee all footballing matters, have the academy playing the same formation and the same style as the first team, set a footballing philosophy for the first team based on Everton and their identity and DNA and what the fans expect, and oversee a transfer policy that is dynamic, that has some longevity to it, and is more progressive in line with modern football, and do better in negotiation, find a way of attracting players in that fit into the philosophy that he sets. So I just want to see everyone working towards a common goal now. We're wrapping things up. Hopefully, when the full announcement comes through on the Everton site, I'll be able to catch up with you again, Mabs. And hopefully get Basil, John, and maybe Steve Ellie on the video, and we'll have a really good in-depth discussion about it. But for now, I'm going to have to wrap things up. Thanks for watching, guys.
Cheers,
Marcel
guys.
Brands has left Everton Football Club. Hit this like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Mabsy, take care. Thank you.
You too, mate.
It's it's just come through on the Athletic now. So that's it. He's gone. Marcel Brands. Let me know in the comments what you think after the video, and we'll hopefully bring you some more reaction shortly. Thank you.